Elia's Mar woke to a soft change in the air, the kind that made the skin notice before the mind did. The room was dark, lit only by the faint blue line of the station's night cycle strip along the wall. The quiet hum of life support systems was steady, familiar. Everything felt normal, and yet something was wrong. He did not move at first. Years of living on an orbital station had trained him to pause to listen. His breath stayed slow, his eyes adjusted. Then he saw her. She stood near the door, tall and still, her outline barely visible. The door seal was intact. No alarms were sounding. That alone sent a chill through him. No one entered private quarters without clearance, and certainly not without noise. She took a step forward, careful and unsteady, like someone walking on unfamiliar ground. The light caught her form, and Elias realized she was not human. Her shape was close enough to make his mind reach for familiar ideas, but wrong in quiet ways. Her skin had a pale sheen, not reflective but deep, like light was being swallowed rather than bounced back. Her eyes were too dark and too calm. He pushed himself up on one elbow. "Who are you?" he asked. His voice came out low, controlled. She did not answer with words. Instead, she lifted her hands and began to remove what she was wearing. The clothing was thin and layered, clearly not for style but for function. Each piece came away slowly, placed on the floor with care. There was no shame in her movement, no signal that this was meant to be intimate. It felt more like a ritual or a necessary step in a process. Elias sat up fully now, heart beating faster, but his body remained still. He understood instinctively that panic would help no one. The station had taught him that reactions could be more dangerous than problems. When she was done, she swayed. Her breathing was uneven, shallow. Then she crossed the remaining distance and collapsed forward. Her weight pressed gently against him as she lay across his chest. Elias froze. Her body was warm, warmer than human normal. Her head rested near his shoulder, and her long, slow breath brushed his neck. He could feel a faint vibration through her frame, like a low hum, barely there. "Hey," he said quietly. "You need to tell me what's happening." There was no spoken reply, but something shifted inside his head. Not a voice, not a sound. More like a pressure behind his thoughts, soft but urgent. Images rose without warning. Cold, distance. Pain that was not sharp but spreading like frost. She was dying, not in the sudden way humans feared, but in a slow failure. Her body was not built for this place, not fully. The clothes she had removed were not decoration. They were life support, and they were failing. Elias swallowed. "Why me?" he whispered. The pressure shifted again, and with it came understanding rather than images. His mind did not translate words so much as ideas. Because you are steady, because your kind survives stress, because your heart rhythm is compatible. His breath caught. "My heart." Her body shifted slightly closer, as if drawn to the sound beneath his ribs. Her breathing began to match his, slow and deep. The vibration through her frame softened. Elias felt something strange then. Not fear, not desire, but connection. A sense of being used as a reference point, a guide. Like standing still so someone else could find balance. He reached out carefully and placed his hand near her shoulder, not touching skin, just close. "I won't move," he said. "You're safe, but you need help." Medical security, no. The idea was firm now, clear. If they come, they will separate us. If they separate us, I fail. If I fail, my people lose their chance. That made him go still again. "Your people," the answer came slowly, like she was using energy just to think. "We came to speak. We were wrong about humans. We thought you were unstable, too emotional, too divided. A weak species that survived by chance." Her body trembled once, then settled again. "But you adapt. You synchronize. You carry stress without breaking. Your emotions do not destroy you. They connect you." Elias stared at the ceiling, the soft light reflecting off the metal panels. He had never heard humanity described like that. Most reports talked about human aggression, human unpredictability. Not this. "I'm just a maintenance tech," he said softly. I fix climate controls and water recyclers. You fix systems that keep life stable, the idea replied. That is not small. A faint smile touched his face despite the situation. So what now? Now I rest. Now I borrow your stability. Now I survive long enough to speak. Her presence in his mind dimmed like a light turned low to save power. Her breathing evened out completely. The warmth between them became constant, comforting in a strange way. Minutes passed, maybe more. Time felt stretched, quiet. Elias thought about calling for help again. Every rule said he should, but every instinct told him that this moment mattered, that whatever choice he made would echo far beyond this room. He focused on staying calm, on breathing steadily, on keeping his thoughts clear and slow. As he did, something unexpected happened. The pressure in his mind did not vanish. It grew more structured, not stronger but clearer. He began to sense her thoughts without effort, not private memories but states of being, relief, focus, hope. Outside the room, the station continued as normal. People slept. Systems ran. The galaxy turned. Inside, something new was happening. Her species, he sensed, had never needed this before. They had evolved in environments where emotional alignment came naturally, where minds matched easily. But the wider galaxy was not like that. Too many ways of thinking, too many internal rhythms. They tried to solve it with logic, with rules, with distance, and they were failing. Humans were different, messy, emotional, but able to align quickly under pressure, able to share burden without formal systems, able to care even when afraid. Elias felt tears prick his eyes, not from sadness, but from the weight of it. From the sudden understanding that being human with all its flaws was not a weakness in the universe. It was rare. Her hand moved slightly, resting against his chest. The vibration he felt earlier shifted again, more focused. Something synchronized deep inside, beyond thought. For a brief moment he sensed more than her. He sensed a network, others like her, scattered, waiting, watching for a signal that had never come before, until now. A soft tone sounded from the wall panel, not an alarm, a system query. Station sensors had detected an anomaly in bioenergy output in his quarters. Elias closed his eyes. "Looks like we're running out of time," he whispered. Her awareness brushed his again, calm but determined. "Then we speak soon, not with words, but with proof." The tone sounded again, more insistent. Elias did not move. Whatever came next, humanity would not face it unnoticed. The tone from the wall panel faded, replaced by a soft, waiting light. Elias opened his eyes and focused on keeping his breathing slow. The being lying across his chest remained still, but he could feel her awareness, quiet and steady, like someone listening from the next room. The door panel chimed. A gentle sound. Station protocol before escalation. "Elias Mar," came a calm voice from the hall. "This is environmental monitoring. We're seeing an unusual bio reading from your quarters. Are you awake?" Elias did not answer right away. He felt the alien's thoughts shift, not with fear but with calculation. She was weak but not helpless. She was choosing restraint. "I'm awake," Elias said at last. "Probably a sensor error. I was running diagnostics earlier." There was a pause. "Our system shows no scheduled work orders for your room." "I improvise," he replied. "Keeps the air fresher." Silence followed. Then, "Understood. We'll run a remote calibration. Please remain still." The connection cut. Elias let out a slow breath. "They're scanning," he whispered. "I know," the idea replied. Her presence pressed closer, not in panic but in focus. "If they detect me clearly, they will intervene. They believe intervention is kindness." "Isn't it?" Elias asked quietly. "Sometimes mercy ends possibility." That answer stayed with him. The room grew slightly cooler as the system adjusted. Elias felt her body react, a small shiver that traveled through her frame. Instinctively, without thinking, he adjusted his posture, allowing more surface contact. The warmth between them stabilized again. Her awareness sharpened. "You adapt quickly." "Human habit," he said. "See a problem, adjust." Your species does this even when the problem is not understood. That's how we survive. The scan light dimmed, then shut off. A moment later, the panel chimed again. Calibration complete, the voice said. Readings are stabilizing. We'll log this as a transient anomaly. Contact us if you experience discomfort. Will do, Elias said. The line went dead. Only then did his muscles relax. He stared at the ceiling again, heart steady, thoughts racing. That was close. Too close, she agreed, but necessary. For what? He asked, to confirm something. Her awareness shifted, and with it came a deeper sharing. Elias felt it more clearly now, like learning a new sense. She was not just leaning on his body. She was learning from it. Her species, he understood, experienced emotion differently, more controlled, more communal. They aligned naturally with each other, but that same structure made it hard to adapt to unfamiliar mental patterns. The wider galaxy was chaotic. Species clashed not because of weapons, but because they could not understand each other's internal states. Humans, by contrast, lived in constant internal noise, conflicting emotions, rapid changes, stress layered on stress. And yet they kept going. They learned to read each other despite misunderstanding. They bonded under pressure. They normalized instability. You live in imbalance, she thought, not critically, but with wonder. We call it life, Elias replied. She shifted slightly, lifting her head just enough for him to see her face clearly for the first time. Her features were smooth, symmetrical, but her eyes held depth, not emptiness, curiosity, respect. My name, she sent carefully, is Lyrian. Elias, he said. You already know that, I guess. I chose you knowing only patterns, not the person. That was a risk. Glad I passed the test. Her mouth curved in what might have been a smile. It faded quickly as weakness returned. She settled back down, conserving energy. Elias felt a pull then, subtle but strong, not physical, mental. She was opening more of herself, not by force but by trust. He could sense her memories forming shapes at the edge of thought, not images yet, feelings, a vast distance, a long journey, hope stretched thin. What happens if this works? He asked. If I stabilize fully, I can complete my function. Which is, to speak for my people. To who? Elias asked, though part of him already knew. To the ones who decide who matters, the Interstellar Council. The word carried weight even without explanation. Elias had grown up hearing fragments, rumors of meetings beyond human reach, of decisions made in rooms humanity had never entered. And you need me, he said slowly, to survive long enough to do that. And more, he waited. I need you to demonstrate something they do not believe exists, which is, that emotional resilience is a form of strength. Elias let out a soft laugh. We don't look very strong from the outside. Appearances deceive, she replied. You build fragile things and accept that they will break. Then you rebuild, again and again. You do not collapse when perfection fails. He thought of Earth, of cities rebuilt after disasters, of people arguing, hurting, reconciling, of mistakes repeated and lessons half learned. You're saying that's special. In this galaxy it is rare. Time passed quietly. Lyrian's breathing grew stronger, more even. The warmth between them no longer fluctuated. Elias could feel his own body responding, not with excitement but with purpose. Like he was doing exactly what he was meant to do. Then came a new sensation, a ripple, not from her but through her. Elias gasped softly as his awareness expanded beyond the room. For a moment he felt many minds touch his, distant and faint, others like Lyrian, observers. They were linked to her carefully, watching her state. She is stabilizing, came a distant impression. Unexpected variable confirmed. Human neural-emotional pattern viable, another thought added. Elias felt suddenly exposed. They can feel me. Indirectly, Lyrian replied. Through me, I am acting as a bridge. He considered that. A maintenance tech in an orbital station, unknowingly becoming a reference point for alien science. Figures, he muttered. Her amusement brushed his mind, light and brief. The ripple faded and the room returned to its quiet hum. Elia's eyes felt heavy, but he stayed awake, focused. "What happens after you speak?" he asked. "That depends on whether they listen. And if they do, then my presence here will be considered a failure." The weight of that settled on him. That doesn't sound like much of a choice. It is more than we had before. He nodded slightly as if she could see it. Another chime sounded, sharper this time, not from his door, from his personal communicator on the table nearby. He recognized the priority tone, station command. Elias felt leery and tense, her warmth spiked. "They know," he said, "they suspect." "What do we do?" She did not answer immediately. Her thoughts pulled inward, focusing, calculating. Elias sensed something else now, not weakness. "Resolve, we continue." "How?" he whispered. "By letting them see what they fear." Before he could ask what that meant, the communicator activated automatically. "Elias Mar," a new voice said, firm, higher authority. "This is station security. We require access to your quarters." Now, Elias closed his eyes for a brief second. Lyrian's awareness pressed into his, steady and calm. "Do not resist them," she thought. "Do not fight." "Then what?" he asked silently. "Be human." The door seal disengaged with a soft hiss. Elias opened his eyes. Whatever happened next, there would be no going back. The door slid open slowly, smooth and quiet like everything on the station. Two security officers stood outside, their posture alert but not aggressive. Soft white lights from the hallway spilled into the room. Elias remained on the bed, unmoving. Lyrian was still lying across his chest, her presence calm but focused. The officers froze when they saw her. For a moment, no one spoke. "That's not human," one of them said carefully. Elias kept his voice steady. "No, she's not." Both officers lifted their wrist units, scanning. The devices hummed softly. Numbers changed. Warnings flickered. "We're detecting an unknown life form," the taller officer said. "Elias Mar, you are instructed to move away immediately." Elias did not move. Lyrian shifted slightly, just enough to show she was awake. Her eyes opened fully now, dark and aware. The air in the room felt different, heavier, as if attention itself had weight. "She can't be moved," Elias said. "Not yet." "That's not your decision," the officer replied. His voice was firm, but there was uncertainty beneath it. "You're at risk." Elias swallowed. "I'm not." The officers exchanged a glance. Lyrian reached out mentally, not just to Elias now, but outward. The pressure in the room changed again, subtle but unmistakable. The scanners in the officers' hands spiked, then stabilized. Their expressions shifted from alarm to confusion. "What just happened?" one whispered. Lyrian did not speak aloud. Instead, her thoughts brushed against theirs gently, like a hand resting on a shoulder. They stiffened, then relaxed, their breathing slowing without realizing it. Elias felt it too. She was not controlling them, she was synchronizing. "She's communicating," Elias said quietly, "just not with words." The taller officer lowered his scanner slightly. "I feel calm," he said, sounding surprised. "That's not normal in an unknown contact situation." "That's her," Elias replied. Station command chimed in through the open-door speakers. "Security team report." The officer hesitated, then spoke honestly. "We have visual confirmation of a non-human entity. No hostile actions detected. Situation is stable." There was a pause on the line. "Define stable." Elias took a breath. "She's an envoy," he said. "She's here to talk, but her biology isn't compatible with the station. I'm helping her stay alive." Another long pause. "This is highly irregular," command said. "Medical and xenobiology teams are being dispatched." Lyrian's awareness tightened. Elias felt it immediately. "That will end this," she thought. "They'll help you," Elias replied silently. "They will separate us." "They don't know any other way," he said. "That is why this moment matters." Lyrian slowly lifted herself from Elias' chest. He felt the loss of warmth instantly, like stepping out of sunlight. She stood, unsteady but upright. Her posture was tall, composed, despite the weakness still running through her. She looked at the officers, then at the open door, then at Elias. I must show them. Before anyone could stop her, she reached out, not physically but mentally. The effect was immediate. The room seemed to expand. Elias felt it first, a sudden widening of awareness, like opening his eyes after thinking they were already open. He felt emotions that were not his own. Fear, curiosity, skepticism, hope, all layered together. The officers gasped softly. One steadied himself against the wall. "What is this?" the shorter one whispered. "You're feeling each other," Elias said, awe in his voice. "All of you, at once." Across the station, unnoticed by most, subtle changes occurred. Conversations paused, arguments softened. People felt a strange sense of alignment, like tuning instruments to the same note. In the room, command broke the silence. "Security team, what is happening?" Lyrian finally spoke aloud. Her voice was soft, clear, and careful, as if each word cost effort. "You are experiencing shared emotional reference," she said. "Do not fear it. It is natural to humans, it is rare to others." Command was silent. She continued. "My species came to judge your readiness. We measured your technology, your conflicts, your inefficiencies. We found you lacking." Elias felt a flicker of embarrassment ripple through the room. Lyrian acknowledged it with a slight tilt of her head. "But we were wrong," she said. "We failed to measure what you endure." She gestured gently toward Elias. This human did not resist fear. He did not deny uncertainty. He accepted both and remained functional. That is strength. Medical teams arrived at the doorway but hesitated, sensing the shift in the room. "You live with emotional noise," Lyrian said. "Yet you operate within it. You cooperate despite it. You recover from failure without erasing memory of pain. This allows rapid synchronization under stress." The station command voice returned, quieter now. "Why does this require him?" "Because humans stabilize through presence," Lyrian replied. "Not hierarchy, not command." "Presence?" She swayed slightly. Elias stepped forward without thinking and steadied her. The contact reignited the warmth, the balance. The shared awareness sharpened again. "Your councils fear instability," she said. "They fear emotion. They design systems to remove it. And so they fail when faced with difference." Elias felt it then. Not just understanding, but agreement, spreading outward. People across the station did not know why they suddenly felt more willing to listen. Lyrian looked directly at the nearest camera. "Humanity does not dominate because it is calm. It survives because it adapts." Silence followed, deep, heavy silence. Finally, station command spoke. "What do you want?" Lyrian did not hesitate. "Recognition, not as a threat, not as a problem, but as a stabilizing species." "And if the council refuses?" command asked. "Then they will continue to fracture," she said simply. Her knees buckled. Elias caught her fully this time, easing her back onto the bed. She was breathing harder now. "I don't think you should push any more," he whispered. She looked at him, eyes clear despite exhaustion. This was enough, she thought. They felt it. Medical stepped forward cautiously. "We can help her," one said, "if we adjust." "Yes," Lyrian agreed aloud. "Now you can." The pressure in the room eased. The shared awareness slowly faded, leaving behind a strange aftertaste, like a memory everyone knew they shared but could not fully describe. As medical equipment hummed to life, Elias stepped back, suddenly feeling very tired. One of the security officers looked at him with new eyes. "You okay?" he asked. Elias nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think, yeah." Across the station, conversations resumed, but something had changed. And far beyond it, minds were listening. The medical room was quiet in a way Elias had never felt before. Machines hummed softly, lights stayed low, and every movement was careful. Lyrian lay on the central bed, surrounded by instruments adjusted again and again as the doctors learned in real time. No one rushed. No one argued. The strange calm she had brought still lingered in the air, like a memory the station itself was holding. Elias stood near the wall, hands loose at his sides, unsure what to do now that he was no longer needed in the most direct way. For hours, though it had felt like minutes, his presence had mattered. Now professionals had taken over. Yet every few moments, Lyrian's eyes found him. Each time she steadied. The lead medical officer, a woman with silver hair and tired eyes, finally stepped back from the console. "Her condition is stabilizing," she said, "slowly but steadily. We're adapting the environment to match her biology." Elias nodded. "She needed emotional balance," he said, unsure how strange it sounded. The doctor did not dismiss it. "So it seems." Behind the observation glass, station command members watched silently. No raised voices, no urgent demands. That alone told Elias how deeply things had changed. Lyrian stirred and lifted her head slightly. Elias was at her side instantly, though no one had asked him to be. "You stayed," she said softly. "Yeah," he replied. "Didn't seem right to leave." Her lips curved faintly. "That instinct is what we misunderstood." She took a slow breath. The room adjusted temperature and pressure in response. The machines responded more smoothly now, as if they had learned her rhythms. "The council is listening," she continued. "Not directly, but they are aware." "Is that good?" Elias asked. "It is unprecedented." A murmur passed among the command staff. One of them stepped forward, activating the room's communication field. "Lyrian," he said carefully, "we've received confirmation. A relay has opened. Observers from outside the system are requesting access." Her eyes closed for a brief moment. Elias felt a familiar pressure, lighter now but clear. "They are ready sooner than expected." "What happens if they come here?" Elias asked. "They will not come physically," she said. "They will observe, measure, judge." "Sounds familiar," he muttered. She looked at him. "This time they will not be able to pretend they do not feel." The room lights dimmed slightly. A soft tone filled the air, not sound exactly, but presence. Elias felt it again, that widening of awareness, but more controlled now. Like opening a door instead of breaking a wall. He sensed them, not faces, not voices, patterns of thought, old, careful, distant, the observers. They touched the station lightly, like fingers testing water. They felt the people inside, the lingering alignment. The echoes of what had happened, curiosity spread through them. Concern, resistance, interest. Lyrian spoke, her voice calm but carrying. "You observe humanity as fragmented," she said. "You see conflict and inefficiency. You fear unpredictability." The presence shifted. Elias felt a response, not words but judgment. Lyrian continued. "Yet you depend on rigid harmony. When difference exceeds tolerance, you fracture." She gestured slightly, including Elias, the doctors, the security staff. "Humans function without harmony. They build it when needed." Elias felt a surge of emotion ripple outward, pride mixed with doubt, fear mixed with resolve. The observers felt it all. One of the command members gasped softly. "They're reacting," he said. Lyrian nodded. "They are overwhelmed." The pressure increased for a moment, then eased as the observers adjusted. Elias felt something shift, like a massive structure slowly changing direction. "They are asking questions," Lyrian said. "Questions they have avoided for generations." She looked at Elias again. "This is where choice matters." "Mine?" he asked. "Yes," he blinked. "I'm not exactly qualified to speak for humanity." "You already have," she replied. "Not with arguments, with behavior." The observers pressed closer, attention focused sharply now. Elias felt exposed again, but not afraid. He thought of what she had told him before, be human. He took a breath and spoke, not to the presence directly, but aloud, grounded in the room. "We're not perfect," he said. "We mess up a lot, we fight, we doubt, we get scared." The observers felt the truth of it immediately. "But we don't stop," Elias continued. "We keep going while we're scared. We help each other even when we don't agree, sometimes especially then." He shrugged slightly. "That's all I've got." For a long moment nothing happened. Then something extraordinary occurred. The observers did not pull back. They leaned in. Elias felt it like a massive release of tension, like a breath held for too long finally let go. Lyrian exhaled shakily. They are recalibrating. One of the doctors whispered, "Is that possible?" "For them," Lyrian said. "Rarely for humans it is routine." The pressure slowly faded. The room returned to normal. The machines hummed. The lights brightened slightly, but everyone felt it. A shift. Station command spoke again, voice unsteady. "The observers have ended the relay. They've issued a provisional status." Elias' heart skipped. "Which is?" "Humanity has been classified as a stabilizing influence," the voice said, "pending further integration." A stunned silence filled the room. Lyrian closed her eyes, relief washing through her so strongly that Elias felt it like warmth across his skin. "It is done," she said softly. Medical staff resumed their work with renewed focus. The tension that had driven them earlier was gone, replaced by something quieter and stronger. Hours passed. Lyrian slept, truly slept now, her breathing deep and natural. Elias sat nearby, exhaustion finally catching up to him. Someone brought him water. Another draped a blanket over his shoulders without asking. No one treated him like a hero. They treated him like someone who had done what needed doing. When Lyrian woke again, she was stronger. She could sit up without help. Her thoughts no longer pressed so hard against Elias' mind. "You will not be alone after this," she said. "They will come to you, questions, requests," he sighed. "I just wanted a quiet job," she smiled. "So did we." The station slowly returned to normal operations, but normal felt different now. Conversations were slower. Listening lasted longer. Arguments ended sooner. Lyrian stood by the viewport later, looking out at the stars. Elias joined her. "You know," he said, "we're still going to mess this up sometimes." "I know," she replied. "That is why you are valuable." He glanced at her. "That doesn't sound comforting." "It is," she said gently. "You fail without losing yourselves." Elias looked out at the vast darkness beyond the glass and felt something he had never felt before. The galaxy was not watching humanity anymore. It was waiting. The station felt quieter in the days that followed, not because there was less activity, but because people moved with more awareness. Elias noticed it first in small ways. Conversations paused instead of colliding. Arguments ended before they grew sharp. People still disagreed, still complained, still rushed through their work, but something had shifted underneath it all. Lyrian was no longer confined to the medical room. She walked the corridors slowly, always with someone nearby, not as a guard but as company. Her strength returned in steady steps, not sudden leaps. Each day she needed Elias less for balance, and each day that felt like both a success and a quiet loss. Elias returned to his maintenance duties. Climate systems still needed tuning. Water recyclers still broke at the worst times. Life did not pause just because history had brushed past it. He liked that. It reminded him that whatever had changed, humanity was still itself, but he could feel the difference. Sometimes, when he passed groups of people, he sensed a faint echo of alignment. Not the deep shared awareness from before, but a gentle ease, like a habit learned and not forgotten. The first official delegation arrived a week later, not ships full of beings, not grand ceremonies, just a controlled relay in the main council chamber. Elias sat near the back, wearing his work uniform, feeling very out of place. Lyrian stood at the center. The presence of the observers filled the room again, lighter this time, more careful. They did not overwhelm, they listened. They asked questions, not about weapons, not about territory. They asked how humans handled loss, how they worked together without full agreement, how they continued after repeated failure. Elias listened as scientists, engineers, doctors, and ordinary station staff answered. No one pretended humans were better than they were. They spoke honestly, about mistakes, about regret, about stubborn hope. The observers absorbed it all. When the relay ended, no declarations were made, no treaties signed, but something important happened. They asked to return. After that, the requests multiplied, not demands, invitations, joint problem-solving groups, emotional modeling studies, crisis response simulations with human participation. Humanity was not placed above others, it was placed beside them. Lyrian watched it unfold with quiet satisfaction. "They are learning," she said to Elias as they stood near the viewport again. "Slowly," he replied. She nodded. "That is acceptable." One evening, as the station lights dimmed to night cycle, Lyrian joined Elias in the observation ring. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass, distant and cold and full of possibility. "My task here is nearly complete," she said. He felt a familiar tightness in his chest. "So you're leaving?" "Yes." "When?" "Soon," he nodded, looking out at the stars so she would not see his expression. "Guess that was always the plan." "It was," she agreed, "but plans do not account for connection." He smiled faintly. "You learned that from us." "I did," she said. They stood in silence for a while. The station hummed around them, steady and alive. "You know," Elias said at last, "I never asked what happens to you if your people don't listen." She looked at him. "They are listening now." "That's not what I meant." She considered him carefully. "Then I will tell you something we rarely admit. My people fear becoming irrelevant." "Because you rely on harmony," he said. "Yes, and harmony fails in a changing universe." He glanced at her. "You think humans woe?" She smiled softly. "I think you will fail often, loudly, publicly," he snorted. "That sounds right. But you will adapt," she continued. "You will argue, break, rebuild, and continue. That is why the galaxy needs you." "And what do humans need?" he asked. She did not answer immediately. "Perspective," she said finally, "and time." The day she left, there were no crowds, no speeches, just a small group at the docking bay. Elias stood among doctors, engineers, and security officers who had been there from the beginning. Lyrian paused before boarding the transport. She turned to Elias. "You were not chosen because you were exceptional," she said. "I know," he replied. "I was just there." "Yes," she said warmly, "and you stayed." She reached out and placed her hand lightly against his chest. There was no surge of shared awareness this time, no pressure, just a quiet warmth. "Humanity will not be alone anymore," she said, "but it will still have to be itself." "I think we can handle that," Elias said. "I believe you," she replied. The transport doors closed. The ship disengaged. Light flared softly and then she was gone. Elias stood there longer than he needed to. Eventually, life pulled him back. Work orders, system checks, routine. Weeks turned into months. Humans were invited to stations they had never seen before. Mixed species teams worked on problems that had stalled for decades, not because humans had better answers, but because they asked different questions. There were misunderstandings, frustrations, failures. Humans argued, aliens withdrew, then humans reached out again, and again. Slowly something new formed, not a perfect system, not peace without effort, but a way forward that bent instead of breaking. Elias remained a maintenance tech. He refused promotions politely. He answered questions when asked and avoided attention when he could. Sometimes, late at night, he felt a faint echo, a reminder of alignment, of connection across distance. He never answered it directly. He did not need to. One night, as he adjusted a climate panel near the observation ring, he looked out at the stars and thought about how small he was, how small humanity was, and how that had never mattered. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. It did not save it. It did something harder. It showed the galaxy how to live with uncertainty and keep going anyway. Developer mode ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info.